One thing we've seen is their new signings. Torres coming in. We saw that one happen, didn't we? Ferran Torres from Barcelona, and Mika Götze as well coming in from Ajax. And it would appear that there are no issues on personal terms for both Bradley Barcola to Liverpool for that deal to get done, or Cody Gakpo to be going out on the way to Spurs. But both would depend on financial agreements between the clubs involved here. We're talking about two very different prices for players though here, Alex. Obviously for Barcola, it's a much bigger price than we're talking about for Cody Gakpo. So that's quite the drop-off when you look at it financially.
Yeah, quite the drop-off, Kate. What do you think, Nedum, is the better deal there?
To be honest, from my perspective, looking at Liverpool, I think for the last year or so, we've been talking about how the squad feels quite light. And I think it's even lighter this summer. So to have a player leaving, whilst another one's coming, it sort of makes you wonder, like, is it really going to be helping the team in the long term? Because they do still feel short. And I think Gakpo, for as much as, say, he doesn't get a ton of headlines, I think he was either their top or second top goal scorer last season. So he was effective. And he can play on the left, he can play through the middle. And they need bodies around at this moment in time. With Salah going, with Ekitike being out for a while as well. You know, somebody to try and support Isak. So I think it's strange that they're allowing a player to leave to another Premier League side. If it's a case of they need to bring some money in, for me, that feels like poor planning. I don't understand why they need to be letting people leave, go out through the door when the new manager in Areola is already saying that the squad, they need more players, they need more. But obviously somebody in Bradley Barcola, somebody that could be great in the Premier League, somebody that could be great for them in Europe as well. You know, one of the shining stars from that French team that we've seen over the last few years. But I don't know. It just feels like a strange deal. And I think from Liverpool's perspective, obviously they were bringing in a really good player with huge potential in the Premier League, but I don't love it. I don't love it just because Gakpo has to leave for it to happen.
That's the reason you don't love it.
That's the reason I don't love it. I think Barcola by himself would be a great sign. I think something Liverpool can help.
What does he give this Liverpool team that they don't already have?
I think when you see the likes of Salah leaving now with that speed and sort of energy on that right-hand side and the goals that he can score, you've got somebody on the left-hand side in Barcola who can go inside, can go down the line. I think somebody's finishing can be really good. And his assist play can be good as well. And when a game becomes stretched, there aren't many defenders. I don't know if Kieran, you'd agree, or like the way that I see this, I wouldn't want to be coming up against the likes of Bradley Barcola in the final 10, 15, 20 minutes of a game of football.
I think not many people would. Not
yeah,
many
that's what I
defenders
mean.
would.
That's what I mean. So when there's a game that Liverpool need that sort of X factor, I think he's somebody that can provide that. I think obviously he can still work within a system because for PSG they very much have that.
Yeah.
He's good at pressing. He's got good size about him as well in terms of dealing with the physicality of the football that you see in the Premier League. So I think he'd be potentially a really good signing, and with more coaching because he's still only young as well. Something to remember.
Yeah.
Then he can continue to evolve his game to suit the English style of things, I would say. So I do like it in terms of him as a player, and for Liverpool bringing him in. But like I say, I just don't see why it has to be 1-for-1.
No, not having that.
I'm not having
Nedum's not having it, Kate.
Just keep Gakpo. Just keep him.
Just keep them. Yeah, have them both.
Yeah, well, let's talk about
Why not?
Let's talk about how it can look financially, because it does look as though Barcola would cost a lot more than they would sell Gakpo off for. The Barcola asking price, we're looking at between 120 to 145 million. Gakpo 70 to 75 million. So the Gakpo sale would cover approximately half of what they're asking for Barcola. So that's why this is coming up.
Well, and from that perspective, at the very least, it makes sense. And while I know it was under a different manager, just remember how much money Liverpool spent last season. I'm with Nedum in the sense that having Cody Gakpo in a squad that at times was very thin last season does Liverpool the world of good. The thing for me from a Cody Gakpo perspective is at times he felt like a bit part player as a squad player. And I feel moving to Spurs, he's treated differently, he's seen differently, and he probably feels differently in his own standing within that squad. So as a player, it makes a whole lot of sense for him to make that move down to London. But again, just kind of using that as the excuse or using that funding to bring in Barcola doesn't do enough or doesn't add up. I'm a huge fan of Barcola. I think he's an outstanding talent. I'm just not seeing the 140, 150, whatever it is PSG are asking. Barcola, for as talented as he is, at times between him and Doué, you weren't quite sure who was going to be the out-and-out starter, and Luis Enrique kind of swapped between the two. So now you're paying 150 million for a player, young player at 24 years old, but who was not a guaranteed starter in albeit European champions PSG. That's a lot of money, in my opinion, for somebody who wasn't a 100% nailed-on starter in the club that he was coming from.
Is he a risk worth taking?
I think he is. I just don't think that there's that many players in the world like him currently. And sometimes you have to take that gamble. Listen, I don't think for a minute that he's going to come in and start producing Mo Salah numbers. But I think in terms of ability, he has what it takes to go and move to the Premier League and become a star. So I think when you have an inflated market, you have to take calculated risks. I agree with Nedum and Shaka in terms of offloading a Cody Gakpo in order to get this move done. I think Cody was quietly clutch actually for Liverpool last season, and you can't take anyone at Liverpool last season for face value, in my opinion. I think it was such a unique season for them emotionally, with what happened, at the beginning of the season with Jota, and then you had the Salah saga, which disrupted the team tremendously, in my opinion. So for me, I find it a little bit strange, like the guys said, that they would let Cody Gakpo go to Spurs. Great move for Spurs. But yeah, ultimately, I think the risk for Bradley Barcola is worth taking.